Trade rumors are intensifying as it looks as though a massive Flames trade is incoming involving Rasmus Andersson. One Flames writer has linked the Swedish stud to multiple teams across the NHL, and we're going to explore which of these potential trade partners is the best. We're going to get into all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. Now let's hop straight in and talk about these Razz Rumours. And this all kind of comes from one article in specific, and it is a great one here. So all credit due to the author, who is a Mr. James Johnson from the Win column. So looking at trade partners for Rasmus Andersson. Now the way this article starts is, of course, it does its intro talking about kind of what we've spoken about for the past couple weeks here on the channel, just saying how likely it is that an Andersson trade is to happen, how it's probably the smartest thing for the franchise to do at this point, for general manager Craig Conroy to do. You know, if he doesn't want to sign at all, or if the contract is a little bit ludicrous, then again, trading him away while his value is still relatively high might be the way to go. We've spoken about all that before. A trade is most likely incoming, but let's see some trade partners. And again, I'm going to skip the intro. Feel free to go over and read this entire article, but let's just get straight into the teams and talk about the Dallas Stars, a team actually currently in the playoffs. So the Dallas Stars are currently up 3-2 against the Colorado Avalanche in the first round. This article comes from yesterday before Game 6 was played, so Game 7 we know is on the rise. Their roster is quite stacked with the exception of RD, especially with Heiskanen injured. Even with him back, Ilya Lyubushkin, Cody Ceci, and Matt Dumba don't exactly inspire confidence. They have all been great at certain points in their career, maybe not Cody Ceci, but again, they could probably use a guy like Andersson to easily be second behind Heiskanen in that depth chart. And Heiskanen, injured right now. Imagine if they had Andersson right now. They wouldn't mind it. So the Flames could help fill one real hole the Stars have on their roster. The Stars have a couple intriguing young players in Maverick Bourque, who we talked about a lot, and Leon Bichelle. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, but that could be something to get in a package back for Rasmus Andersson. We've talked about Bourque in terms of an offer sheet. Could also happen in terms of a trade. Bichelle would be tough to pry, but he's a big left defense and fills a need. Yes, the Flames need that. Bourque might be an easier target given the Stars' depth at forward. Bourque is a right shot center who had 11 goals and 25 points in 73 games this season. I don't know why I can't talk at all right now. Maybe I've gotten too much sun lately. But he is an RFA this summer. The Flames could take on Matt Dumba's contract to increase their trade return and help the Stars with their cap space as well. And I know the Flames are still in a position where they can take on kind of some dead cap to get more assets, but you can't take it on for too long, and it's more and more as those get proposed, I'm kind of thinking, nah. But either way, the first one, Dallas Stars, extremely interesting overall. Next, the Detroit Red Wings. Mr. Johnson, the author of this article, this is the team that makes the most sense, and I'd be inclined to potentially agree. Detroit finished outside the playoffs again, so you know there will be a push to competitiveness next season. On the back end, the Detroit Red Wings have Moritz Seider and Simon Edvinsson, and then not much after that. Seider averaged more than 25 minutes per game this year, with Jeff Petrie likely aging out and Justin Hall not being a consistent top four option, never has been. The path to add Andersson is very clear. If the Wings want to have a chance to push at the playoffs next year in a very crowded Atlantic division, they're going to need a guy like Andersson for sure. The Red Wings have Nate Danielson, a 20-year-old right shot center who had 12 goals and 39 points in 71 AHL games. So someone you could kind of look at in a return. Danielson was selected 9th overall in the 2023 NHL draft. He would no doubt be the centerpiece of an Andersson deal, with Dylan Larkin, Marco Kasper, Andrew Kopp, and JT Comfort fighting for NHL center spots in the NHL. The Red Wings might be willing to part with Danielson, and I think they would be. I would want much more back than just Danielson, because those stats, roughly a point every other game, a little bit better in the AHL, isn't phenomenal. It's not bad at all. It's exactly what we're looking for, a young right shot center, but it could work out. Maybe go for something a little bit deeper. Maybe go for picks instead. But overall, the Red Wings, I do have to agree, make the most sense. They're the team that I could argue needs Andersson the most. That isn't, already essentially a top contender that Andersson easily fits right in. But as we know, Andersson's contract is easy to take on. And the Red Wings just does make sense. Let's get into the Carolina Hurricanes, one of the teams that has already booked their ticket to the second round of the playoffs. So the Carolina Hurricanes are off to the second round, but there are some offseason questions on the back end. Dmitry Orlov and Brent Burns are both UFAs. If the Canes choose to move on from 40-year-old Burns, he might even retire if the Canes win the Cup. They're left with Sean Walker and Jalen Chatfield on the right side. Throw in Rasmus Andersson, he's already arguably top of that list. And that is very debatable, but he would easily slide into their lineup. I mean, Orlov is fantastic, but again, if that's who they're away from with Burns, there's a chance that Andersson slots perfectly. Typically, the Canes are a replace within franchise. Scott Morrow and Alexander Nikishin are both waiting in the wings. The Canes are flush with future assets thanks to the Mikko Rantanen deal. If they go out in the second or third round again, maybe they take a swing for the fences. It'll totally depend, I personally think, on how they do in the playoffs. If they win the Cup, there'll be a lot of, deals to, can we run it back with the same kind of crew? And then there might not be as much space. Alternatively, if they crash out, they might want to totally ramp things up again and get rid of a bunch of players like they have repeatedly over the past few off seasons. And it does make sense. They have a lot of future assets that I think they'd be willing to deal in a trade for Rasmus Andersson if that's what could put them over the top, because they're a team who have been so competitive for so many years now, but just haven't been able to get back to the Stanley Cup final. So very interesting. I think the Canes also fit well and could have assets that Calgary wants. Next, kind of a shocker here, but the San Jose Sharks. The Sharks are still rebuilding, but are beginning to add veteran players to begin pushing for the playoffs. Toffoli was a great fit and mentor for their young guys. Why not add another former Flame? The Sharks' most obvious position of need is defense, particularly right D. This season, they had Timothy Liljegren, Jan Rutta, and Cody Ceci traded and replaced with Vinny Descharnay. They needed their guy yet. So true. I don't know if Andersson is that level, but he would give the Sharks a minute-munching veteran defenseman to lead the team forward, and the Sharks have the cap space to pay him. So in that way, a deal is easy. One thing here, I doubt the Sharks would part with Sam Dickinson, but they have a plethora of first-round picks and prospects that could interest the Flames. No chance they trade Sam Dickinson. That is like if the Flames were to trade Zane Parekh right now, or if they were like to trade Dustin Wolf, pretty much. That's what it'd be like. I could never see a trade Andersson and Sam Dickinson, or at least a trade that involves Sam Dickinson also involving Andersson, if you get what I mean. We could trade for Sam Dickinson, but we'd be giving up at least one of the two guys I just mentioned before. So overall, interesting. Don't see the Sharks as a great fit, especially compared to teams like Detroit and Carolina and even Dallas. Now, Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens took a huge step this year, even though their playoff run was quashed last night, 2 nights ago now. Their rebuild has been extremely successful, and the team is flush with young players and picks. A second-line center is likely their biggest target this summer, but they might look at their right side as well. David Savard is retiring. Alex Carrier was a huge addition, and David Reinbacher and Logan Mailloux are waiting in the wings. Lane Hudson can play the right side as well. Based off that, I don't see Andersson making sense because I'm pretty sure the Habs want to commit to the youth. But again, you can argue with me down in the comments. If the Habs really want to solidify things, Andersson could be the guy. You can pause and read the rest of that. Overall, I wanted to include the Canadiens just because it says it in the article, but I don't see this making any sense. They have great young defensemen in guys like Hudson and Reinbacher, so overall, I don't see Andersson fitting with them. It's funny because the host of Habs Digest, Josh Goss, thinks for sure that the Habs will trade for Rasmus Andersson, which is interesting. He knows the Habs better than I do, but overall, I don't quite see it working out. I don't know what the Habs would have that they're willing to give up that the Flames would want. So overall, another interesting one there. Last couple here, they're both quick. So the Nashville Predators, if the Preds believe that this older core can be salvaged, their right side needs a lot of work. Their only right shot defender is Justin Barron, although Roman Josi can play the right side. Again, I don't see it happening because the Preds are kind of going to go into a bit of a rebuild, I think, here, and Andersson does not fit their timeline. But it could happen if they decide to go crazy in free agency again and think they can win the Cup and then be bad. Last one, Buffalo Sabres. Pending extensions, does a Rasmus Andersson for Bowen Byram swap make sense for either side? Andersson does have a 6-team no-trade list, so you can probably count Buffalo out, which is kind of funny there. That's something that gets proposed in the comments all the time, is Andersson to Buffalo for Byram. I would do something like it. I'd like to see more pieces involved, and I don't know which side. Probably both, but either way, that one is very interesting as well. So overall, what do you think? Who do you think Andersson should be traded to, and what would you like to see the Flames get back? Please let me know down in the comments. Maybe I'll make a whole video just on your guys' trade proposals. I think that could be pretty fun, so make sure you're at your best down there in the comments section. Now let's wrap this thing up with the comment of the day, as we love to do here on the channel. Comes from the most recent video, of course, and it comes from D. Chappelle. That's the wrong one. This is the right one. It comes from Magic for Life. He said, Sabres players are always linked with the Flames. LOL, laugh out loud. And it's so true. This is based off, the recent JJ Paterka rumors. We have Bowen Byram as well being rumored. For all of those months and months, we were rumored to Dylan Cousins, which might reignite again depending on what Ottawa wants to do with him now that they're out of the playoffs. And it's just so true. You think back to when Ryan O'Reilly was even on the Sabres getting linked to the Flames. It's just crazy. It seems like we're two teams that are always just kind of bound together in the rumor mill. And hey, we'll roll with it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe like you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.